Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a special episode of Green Streams. Sit tight. This is a special episode of Green Streams. Green Streams. Timothy Dwayne, what's going on? Goddess Witch Bella. Joe from Cali, peace. One world, one hood. Goddess Witch Bella, welcome, welcome. You need a wrench. Goddess has been rocking since the beginning. Looking at the flat plane, the flat horizon, flat earth, peace and prosperity. Underdog, what's going on? A show on recipes. Well, what I could do on a show with recipes is I could give you guys a general understanding of, spice mixing and how to mimic Mexican or Indian or Jamaican or Spanish, whatever you like, Italian. And then you can use whatever dressings you want with that. All right. Just setting up, y'all. Almost done. Almost finished doing what I'm doing. Peace, guys. Thanks for joining me, man. We're gonna get right into this. One world, one hoods with us, underdogs with us. Goddess with Bella, everybody's here. Okay. All right. So, welcome back to the part 2 of the reading of Vegetarianism and Occultism. And if you guys joined us last week, which, you know, a lot of people did, over 800 people have seen the video already, then you are all caught up to date on personal reasons that are affecting the cell why the plant-based lifestyle is the optimal choice for everyone. Not for some races, not for some ages, but for everyone, okay? One World, One Hood says, Masterpiece, I made my wife watch your live vid, and you actually broke through to her. You know, sometimes it's, no problem. You know, sometimes it's easier to hear a message coming from somebody else, you know, somebody other than the person that's been saying it for so long. It kind of goes in one ear and out the other after a while. So to have like a second opinion is always very helpful. So let me get the chat all set up nicely, and so I can see anything that comes in, any questions, any concerns, especially read off any super chats that may come in, and just pay respects to anybody and everybody. All right, so first and foremost, let's get a audio test. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear this woman's voice again.
You may test for yourself the economic side of the question. You may go and see, if you will, how all these different types of men contrive to live so well upon vegetarian diet.
Y'all can hear that? I got a 1 already. Okay, so we got to be good. 1. All right, Elizabeth 98. Thank you for joining us. Manny 1. Peace. You can hear it. All right, sounds good. So let's get right into this. You know, I hate delaying. So let go. Melvin G, KT, what's going on, guys? Welcome in. You guys made it just on time. We're about to start. All right, here we go.
All that I have said hitherto is thus within your reach. But now I am abandoning the field of ordinary physical reasoning and taking you up to the level where you have, naturally, to take the word of those who have explored these higher realms. Let us then turn now to the hidden side of all of this, the occult.
Remember, guys, the occult just means hidden. It doesn't mean I'm an occult practicing Mason or an Illuminati or a Skull and Bones or a Bavarian or anything like that, right? Occult is hidden, and it's a shame that this stuff is hidden or had been hidden through things like Hermeticism and you know, world orders and, you know, nobility and bloodlines, but now it is being exposed. You know what I'm saying? It's been out there in the public for a while, and you hear these books and they always say this book is in the public domain. And then I always think, you know, well, what's not in the public domain? You know, what kind of metaphysical books are we not allowed to hear about that are outside of the public domain, right? So what I like to do a lot of the time is I like to go into occult readings, you know what I mean? Occult books, occult classics, and just read what they have to say. All right, let's do it.
End of section 9. Recording by Andrea Fiore. Section 10 of Vegetarianism and Occultism. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Andrea Fiore. Vegetarianism and Occultism by C.W. Leadbeater. Section 10. Occult Reasons. Under this heading, also we shall have 2 sets of reasons, those which refer to ourselves and our own development, and those which refer to the great scheme of evolution and our duty towards it, so that once more we may classify them as selfish and unselfish, although at a much higher level than before. I have, I hope, clearly shown in the earlier part of this lecture that there is simply no room for discussion in regard to this question of vegetarianism. The whole of the evidence and of the considerations are entirely on one side, and there is absolutely nothing to be said in opposition to them. This is even more strikingly the case when we come to consider the occult part of our agreement. There are some students, hovering around the fringes of occultism, who are not yet prepared to follow its dictates to the uttermost, and therefore do not accept its teaching when it interferes with their personal habits and desires. Some such have tried to maintain that the question of food can make little difference from the occult standpoint, but the unanimous verdict of all of the great schools of occultism, both ancient and modern, has been definite on this point, and has asserted that for all true progress, purity is necessary, even on the physical plane, and in matters of diet, as well as in far higher matters. In many books and lectures, I have already explained the existence of the different planes of nature and of the vast unseen world all about us, and I have also had occasion to refer often to the fact that man has within himself matter belonging to all these higher planes, so that he is furnished with a vehicle corresponding to each of them.
So what we're saying is, you know, there's the physical plane, there's the astral plane, there's all these different types of plane, the mental planes, emotional planes, right? And we exist simultaneously on all of them. You know, there's no separating it. And so that's what has to be said here. Also note it's very interesting that she said it's even harder to disagree with the upcoming occult, the hidden sides. And I found that very interesting, because if you can make such a strong case for the physical mundane objects that we can all see, then, you know, what types of proof do we have in the occult, in the unseen, the symbolic realm? You know, and I think that explaining symbolically is a great way to get through to a lot of people. Not everybody's an intellect and cares about the numbers and the stats and the nutrition. Some people just need to be shown that, yes, they are living moralistically in one way in their life. Like, say they love dogs, they love animals, they love rescuing animals, but they find that they are contradicting themselves with their diet. So let's continue on.
Through which he can receive impressions, and by means of which he can act. Can these higher bodies of man be in any way affected by the food which enters into the physical body with which they are so closely connected? Assuredly they can, and for this reason. The physical matter in man is in close touch with the astral and mental matter, so much so that each is to a great extent a counterpart of the other. There are many types and degrees of density among astral matter, for example, so that it is possible for one man to have an astral body built of coarse and gross particles, while another may have one which is much more delicate and refined.
Now check this out, because what we're talking about here, we need to bring up a chart, okay? And we're gonna call this the chakra chart. You know, we're not calling it. That's just what it is. It's just what it is. Okay, so chakras. Now, if we look at the mandalas here in front of us, we can see mandala. We can see how what they meant, what she meant, or he, by each part of the bodies linked in with each other. The physical matter is closely touching the spiritual matter, if you will, this more subtle matter. Now, if you look at this mandala here, say this one right here, the pineal. Just get a better picture of it. Bear with me. I know you guys are. You guys are great. Where can I get a nice clear picture of a mandala? Okay, this one's a good one. Okay, this one's even better. Okay, now everybody, let's pretend that this outer wheel is your aura, okay? And that everything inside is the body, okay? So, you know, your brains and your skeleton and your veins and your meat, your blood, your skin, right? And then you have your aura, which is a purple circle. Now, with some photography, you can see flashes of this aura with Kirlian photography. Now, look at the next layer. Let's call this the astral plane. See how the astral plane is coming into contact with your aura and your body? This leaf is, and this petal is, this petal this petal, you got a bunch of petals, say there's 12 petals all around or something. They each have their own connection to the aura, to the body, okay? Now, if you go another plane out, say to the emotional plane over here that's behind these pink leaves, it's still touching the aura, your auric field, but only a lot less of it is. But still it is, and it's still emanating from it, right? So you have a petal here behind it, and another petal here, a purple petal here, purple petal here, and each time you make a succession, you're seeing less and less and less of it, okay? And less is coming into contact with your actual body, but they are all connected. You see, this the outlines, the purple outlines, is touching the purple outline of this second layer of petals, and that purple outline is touching the third layer of the pink petals, and that purple outline is touching the purple outline of the aura, which is touching the outline of the body. So now that I've explained that, that's a good way to see how just because you're here, this physical body's here, and there's something that's driving you, there's something that's allowing you to think, there's something that's attracting the thoughts, and there's something that's feeling, there's a part of you, a characteristic, a personality that can't be extinguished, that can't be taken away, okay? You can kill the body, but not the mind, right? So keep that in mind, and let's proceed with that fact in mind, that we are a container, or we are a physical representation of not only physical matter, the things that we can see, but also of a subtler invisible energy, which we dealt with in part 1, is where most actions of life happen, okay? Let's continue.
As the astral body is the vehicle of the emotions, passions, and sensations, it follows that the man, whose astral body is of the grosser type, will be chiefly amenable to the grosser varieties of passion and emotion, whereas the man who has a finer astral body will find that its particles most readily vibrate in response to higher and more refined emotions and aspirations. The man, therefore, who builds gross and undesirable matter into his physical body is thereby drawing into his astral body matter of a coarse and unpleasant type as its counterpart. We all know that on the physical plane, the effect of overindulgence in dead flesh is to produce a coarse, gross appearance in the man. That does not mean that it is only the physical body which is in an unlovely condition. It means also that those parts of the man which are invisible to our ordinary sight, the astral and the mental bodies, are not in good condition either. Thus, a man who is building himself a gross and impure physical body is building for himself at the same time coarse and unclean astral and mental bodies as well. That is visible at once to the eye of the developed clairvoyant. The man who learns to see these higher vehicles sees at once the effects on the higher bodies produced by impurity in the lower. He sees at once the difference between the man who feeds his physical vehicle with pure food and the man who puts into it this loathsome, decaying flesh. Let us see how this difference will affect the man's evolution.
Whew. Already we're getting a taste of where we're going with this. And I just wanted to add that, I mean, it's so obvious. If you see two plants growing in the same spot, same size of containers and everything like that, and one is wilting and the other one is, doing very well and growing up tall, very exuberant, then what she's saying is you are going to guess, the untrained eye is going to guess that there is something that we can't see, but something is wrong with that plant, and it's probably the soil. There's either a lack of nutrition or bugs getting at the roots. There's something going on, okay? If they're watered at the same time and they're getting the same amount of sunlight, why is one doing more poorly, right? What is it feeding itself with, right? That's the big question. What is it nurturing itself with? Do you go to bed nurturing yourself with sick, jealous thoughts, depressed thoughts, thoughts of anguish and disdain? Or do you make the last thoughts of your day happy and very invigorating? You know what I mean? And more times than not, when you're when you're not consciously thinking, when your mind's just letting go, you will tend, what this book is saying, and what I've personally felt, and I've had friends that have reported this to me as well, is that at their resting stage, their resting thoughts, they are more happy, more peaceful thoughts, right? Not so many thoughts of a gross kind of a lower vibration, but happier vibrations. And if you think about the gross matter of what she's talking about, the antibiotics, the steroids, the pus, the mucus creating constituents that are in the meat or in the dairy, all of those things need a place to go. You know, it's not just flesh. It's, like I said, the growth hormones, the stimulants, the antibiotics, all of that, the pus, the tapeworms, bacteria, whatever. It's going also into your bodily system, right? Now, if your aura is emanating from you, you know what I mean? From your center outward, and it's going through a filter of blood and adrenaline and fear and death and murder, then the light that is produced by all of us is going to be slanted. It's going to be refracted, and it's even going to be dimmed, okay? It's like having all of these particles in your colon, you know, it's going to create a dim inside. So if you want to fill yourself up with light, it's not, you can't put light into your body and expect it to shine. You got to get rid of the stuff that is keeping it dark. And that's where the episodes before about the detoxing come into play. So so now that we're kind of on point of where we're going, we're kind of, I think we're kind of synced up where we're going. This is going into the metaphysics. It's linking everything we talked about in part 1. Let's go forward, all right?
End of section 10. Recording by Andrea Fiore. Section 11 of Vegetarianism and Occultism. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Andrea Fiore. Vegetarianism and Occultism by C.W. Leadbeater. Section 11. Impure Vehicles. It is clear that a man's duty, with regard to himself, is to develop all his different vehicles as far as possible, in order to make them finished instruments for the use of the soul. There is a still higher stage in which that soul itself is being trained to be a fit instrument in the hands of the deity, a perfect channel for the divine grace. But the first step towards this high aim is that the soul itself shall learn thoroughly to control the lower bodies, so that there shall be in them no thought or feeling except those which the soul allows. All these vehicles, therefore, should be in the highest possible condition of efficiency. All should be pure and clean and free from taint. And it is obvious that this part never be so long as the man absorbs into the physical encasement such undesirable constituents. Even the physical body and its sense perceptions can never be at their best unless the food is pure. Anyone who adopts vegetarian diet will speedily begin to notice that his sense of taste or smell is far keener than it was when he fed upon flesh, and that he is now able to discern a delicate difference of flavors in foods, which before he had thought of as tasteless, such as rice and wheat.
You see, when I was on the normal, you know, the American diet, the typical American diet, when I first went over to brown rice, I couldn't stand it. There was a flavor that I just couldn't take. I didn't like the texture of it. Let's see, you know, gluten-free oats, everything. Lentil noodles instead of wheat noodles. You know what I mean? Brown lentil noodles, black rice noodles. You know, natural peanut butter. That's all runny. You know what I mean? I didn't like it, but I knew that it wasn't me that didn't like it. I knew that I was raised to like peanut butter with a lot of sugar and soybean oil in it, right? Going to the natural peanut butter with just the nuts, it's a lot more liquidy and whatever. It's a learning curve, but it tastes just like nuts, and that's it. And at the beginning, when I was so debased from nature, going to natural peanut butter, tasting bad, that said something to me. Now I can't stand white rice. I can't stand parboiled rice. Okay, here's the science behind it. when you're eating foods that cause pus, that come with pus in it, like milk and cheese, or you're eating foods that cause the pus to fester, like the steaks and the chicken and stuff like that, pork, or heavy laden with bacteria or mucus causing foods such as, you know, the meats and dairies and the eggs and a lot of like the starchy vegetables and stuff like that. When you are putting that in your body, it is clogging you up. We talked about that. It's clogging up your colon. But the next thing to clog up is the kidneys. And then the next thing to clog up is the liver. And then your skin. You know what I mean? So there's, it keeps on spreading, right? Soon you can develop like a white coating over your tongue. Or for those of you that smoke, if you smoke, if you quit, or if you went on a vacation and you couldn't find cigarettes, you know that your smell opens up and your taste opens up like tenfold. You can taste your food again, right? All those chemicals from the cigarette, all the chemicals from the dairy, all the chemicals from the steak and the chicken, it's overloading you, it's clogging you up, and you're not able to taste anymore. You're not able to smell anymore. Remember, your nose is like it's like a golf course with so many holes in it. And the flavors from the food, they go up your nose and they go down in their registers. You could say their holes, right? And then you recognize it and you say, oh, okay, that's what that is. I smelled it before, right? If your body's clogged up to the point where those smells can't drop down those holes and sink into your register and be like, oh, that's kale. Oh, that's brown rice. Then you're not going to taste any of it, okay? If your tongue is so filthy and it's, you know, it's got a coating on it. So basically what we're talking about is by eating the pure food, when you eat an apple, it's just the apple, no antibiotics, no growth hormones, it's just an apple, right? Wash it really well. Kale is, you know, just kale. There's no cheese with it or, you know, pus in it that's been cooked or whatever, right? So that's what we mean by pure food. And when you eat that pure food, then it is eliminated from you, okay, in one time. The kale, it knows what to do. Your body knows what to do with it. It breaks it down. It's got the enzymes. It breaks itself down, and you poop it out, and you pee out what you don't need. You pee out what you don't need. Anything that comes out of your body, you don't need it, or else your body would have held on to it and put it back into cycle, okay? So with that being said, drink water. With that being said, when we're talking about pure food, we're talking about foods that your body knows what to do with, that's not going to cause a buildup, okay? Like in a funnel. Okay, let's keep going.
The same thing is true to a still greater extent with regard to the higher bodies. Their senses also cannot be clear if impure and coarse matter is drawn into them.
Now, I don't know what the higher senses are on the higher planes, which, you know, which jolts me into veganism so much more, which jolts me into eating pure food so much more. Because right now I know here that there's that one sense and it's divided into 5 faculties. You know, the seeing, the hearing, the smelling, touching, and the tasting, right? Then you got the 6 senses and all this stuff like that. But that to me is one sense. You can call it 5, you can call it 4, you can call it 6, whatever, right? These are all the senses on the physical plane. And some people have a clairvoyance or a clairaudience to catch little glimpses on a higher plane or a more subtle plane. Now, if they could use one of the senses that they have in this plane to transcend into the next plane, you know, I can't touch a spirit. I can't smell the barbecue they're cooking up in the higher planes, right? So that one sense of the clairvoyance and the clairaudience, if that is a link between the 2 worlds, between the 2 existences or infinite existences, then when I get there, right, to that other world, that higher, more subtle plane, what other senses do I have? You know what I mean? Obviously, there's going to be some sort of vision, but what kind of vision? Hearing, but what kind of hearing? You know what I mean? Is everything going to be vibration? Is it going to be, can I see, but everything is happening now? you know, at the moment. There is no time for reflection. You know what I mean? So because I don't know, and because I don't fully understand or grasp the senses that I'm going to have on this other plane, I'm going to take care of this body the best as I can. You know what I mean? I still got my habits, and I still got my party nights and whatever, but progressively through my life to the day I die, I want to continue to improve my diet and make it more and more pure, so that my astral, mental, and emotional bodies are also benefiting from that, and their senses are more keen and clear. You understand? All right, so let's keep it going.
Anything of this nature clogs and dulls them, so that it becomes matter to higher bodies. Their senses also cannot be clear if impure and coarse matter is drawn into them. Anything of this nature clogs and dulls them, so that it becomes more difficult for the soul to use them. This is a fact which has always been recognized by the student of occultism. You will find that all those who in ancient days entered upon the mysteries were men of the utmost purity, and of course, invariably vegetarian. Carnivorous diet is fatal to anything like real development, and those who adopt it are throwing serious and unnecessary difficulties in their own way.
I want you all to stop what you're doing and listen to this next part very carefully.
I am well aware that there are other and still higher considerations, which are of greater weight than anything upon the physical plane, and that the purity of the heart and of the soul is more important to a man than that of the body. Yet there is surely no reason why we should not have both. Indeed, the one suggests the other, and the higher should include the lower. There are quite enough difficulties in the way of self-control and self-development. It is surely worse than foolish to go out of our way to add another and very considerable one to the list. Although it is true that a pure heart will do more for us than a pure body, yet the latter can certainly do a great deal, and we are none of us so far advanced along the road towards spirituality that we can afford to neglect the great advantage that it gives us.
Oh, okay. Did you hear that? Look around. In this matrix that they have, in this prison plane that they have constructed for us, you know, that they want us to, you know, pay attention to so bad, the wars and the money and all that, right? They want us to believe that this is a prison plane, that life is very hard. And you know what? They have made it that way. They have made a lot of roadblocks get in the way of our natural human progression, okay? Why? If they're making you pay taxes, if they're making you, you know, put your kids in schools, or making them get vaccines, or if they're making you do this and that, everything that goes against your core, why do you then make it harder for yourself? You add something else onto the list, another hurdle. They set 20 hurdles. You eating meat and cheese, you're putting up 21, 22 hurdles for yourselves to get over. There's already enough injustices. I mean, the cops can pull us over, arrest us for anything they want. You know what I mean? They got spy technology, can drop a bomb anytime, anywhere they want. You know what I mean? We're trying to come up with this, you know, what is the shape of the earth kind of thing, and they're hiding it, and these people are trying to expose it. You know, there's war going, WikiLeaks. You got all this corruption, all of this mayhem going on, all of this upheaval and chaos. Amongst all of that, I always say to the people that come to me for help, or clients or whatever, they say, you know, what can I do? What can I incorporate? And I always say, just stop adding things. There's already so many things going on. Relinquish. Stop eating the cheese. Stop eating the meat. You know, you won't have to go on the radiation, the chemotherapy, if you just stop doing the thing that has actually gotten you to this point, which is eating those candies and the eggs and all that stuff, right? So if it's already a battlefield out there, don't make it harder for yourself. Because what she went on to say was, well, you can have a good heart. Yeah, I eat steak and I eat meat, but I got a good heart and I want to see everybody, you know, live in peace. That's all well and fine. But that heart is also an organ of yours, or a muscle, or a transporter, a valve, right? So how can you take your heart and remove it from the body and not associate the two? If you say you have a good heart, don't you want to take care of that heart? If you say you're healthy, well, how's your heart doing? You know what I mean? They're one and the same. So you say, you know, I'm a good person. I would like to go vegan, but you know, it's too hard, and I'm already a good person, and I donate where I have to donate, and you know what I mean, and I buy organic, whatever. Well, you're degrading your heart with the cheese, the dairies, with the flesh foods like the steaks and the mussels and the fish. You're degrading that amazing, big, wonderful heart. So why not just improve both? Okay, why not eat the green salads and the green avocados and green beans and green apples and help your heart out, help your heart transport that blood, and while building up a stronger emotional base, a stronger empathy base. You see, because the heart isn't just an organ that deals with just transporting blood. It's also, you know, this, a lot of people say the seat of our soul. I say it's the seat of our emotions. You know, this is where our emotional center. And if you are tainting that, then how do you know if you're really making a decision from your heart or from the animal's heart that you just ate?
Anything that makes our path harder than it need be is emphatically something to be avoided. In all cases, this flesh food undoubtedly makes the physical body a worse instrument and puts difficulties in the way of the soul by intensifying all the undesirable elements and passions belonging to these lower planes. Nor is this serious effect during physical life the only one of which we have to think. If, through introducing loathsome impurities into the physical body, the man builds himself a coarse and unclean astral body, we have to remember that it is in this degraded vehicle that he will have to spend the first part of his life after death.
Remember that, guys. The place that you go next is dependent on what you do here. If you believe in karma, then you know that when you come back or when you go into that next echelon or the next stage of your soul's progression, you're going to have to deal with everything you've done. So why not, while you're here in the physical form, right, paying most attention to this plane, why not be doing everything you can to build up a better vehicle for you to move around in and experience once you get there, okay? Our astral body outlives our physical body. Our emotional body outlives our astral body. You know what I mean? Our mental body outlives them all. You know what I mean? Just as an example. So, you know, why it's like saving up money for, you know, and putting it away to your bank account. When you're working, you're putting money away. And you're spending the money, you know, now, but you put some away for later, for your kids' education, for their grandkids. And that's what you're doing. You're investing in yourself when you eat good food, because wherever you're going after this, it's going to be hard. It's going to be confusing. It's going to be tough. Don't make it any harder than it has to be by eating coarse meats and eggs and dairy filled with the fear vibrations, right? Because we say in this physical plane, the only thing to fear is fear itself. Now, maybe on another higher plane, there's a different general saying. You know, maybe it's not as above, as so below. Maybe it's not the only thing to fear is fear itself. Maybe there's a whole new set of rules. But for right here, right now, these lower vibrations of, you know, jealousy and pain and, you know, just lust and violence and all these kind of lower energies, they belong to that meat world, right? You got to kill something, you got to raise something, you got to rape something, you got to kidnap someone, you got to kill someone, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good you treat it, you got to kill them at the end of the day. So if you're trying to escape that karmic cycle of pain and fear, then the best step that you could do is the 3 times a day that you're eating, 4 times a day you're eating, whatever, make it all loving and light, right? Plant-based. Don't mix those lower vibrations in that you're so desperately, that you're trying so desperately hard to stay away from. I mean, just like you're trying to stay away from arguments with your friends, stay away from being, you know, getting in trouble by your boss or something, or with your teacher or something. We all want a happy life, but how are we building our bodies? Because however we build up this temple is what's going to be attracting different experiences. If you go around life all pissed off and blaming everybody else, what do you think you're going to get more of? More blame and more pissed off feelings, right? But if you go around walking with a beautiful smile and you're happy and positive, you're going to attract that to you. So subconsciously now, when we're eating the food, and that is in our guts, the fear, the death, the pain, the rape, the torture, we are going to be attracting, maybe we're not going to get raped and maybe we're not going to get tortured, but you know, we are going to be taken advantage of. We're going to be feeling like we're going to be used or stepped all over or treated badly, or we're going to lose our wallet and it's not going to return back to us. You know what I mean? We're not putting out the most that we can when we partake in flesh foods and dairy and eggs. All right, so let's keep going.
Because of the gross matter which he has built into it.
Okay, let me go back.
Clean astral body. We have to remember that it is in this degraded vehicle that he will have to spend the first part of his life after death. Because of the gross matter which he has built into it, all sorts of undesirable entities will be drawn into association with him and will make his vehicles their home and find a ready response within him to their lower passions.
Ooh, like the hookworms and the tapeworms, you know what I mean? Finding their way in you. You're a pregnant woman. You're eating that steak. You're eating those chicken wings. Then you have a beautiful baby boy or girl. Now it's got those bacteria in it from the chicken wings, the grease and all that stuff, right? Now it grows up. That child grows up wanting that, you know what I mean? It says, you know, I want that. I want more food, more food. You give it more, all the way up until it's you know, a teenager, a kid, or an adult, whatever, right? And all these things are being attracted to it. All these lower life form thought vibrations, you know, are being attracted to him. Because why? Because we have the parasites in us still. The parasites, look, your gut is connected to your brain by a vagus nerve. They call it the vagus nerve, right? So if you give birth to a child and you're feeding them the typical diet and it's coming with the typical tapeworms and hookworms and ringworms, and you got pets, so you're putting at the risk of getting parasites in you up tenfold with animal pets, you know what I mean? So that person is growing up and they crave the bacon and they crave the pepperoni and the cheese on their pizza and all that stuff, right? They're 5 years old, 6 years old, eating cheese, eating McDonald's, all that, right? Those hookworms, tapeworms, ringworms, etc., are actually creating a type of environment inside of your gut that is making you crave what they want. Okay, that's what a parasite is. It feeds off of you. It doesn't have the teeth that we have or the jaws that we have. It doesn't like oxygen, so it can't just go and crawl onto an apple tree and live in an apple. It likes gases. It likes dirty gases, methanes and carbon dioxides. It likes putrefacients, okay? It likes nitrogen coming out, you know what I mean? It likes those volatile, swampy areas, okay? Now, the only place it can find that is in an animal. And the only thing that eats that gross, you know, is us. There's nothing else on the planet that eats as gross as us. And even remember with pigs, we feed pigs our slops. We just feed it to them at one time, right? So they got parasites, we got parasites, everybody's got parasites, right? It's like Oprah. The very thing that they are parasitic, low vibrational, is the very thing that they are attracting to you via your food choices. So you got a hookworm, it likes having more hookworm friends, right? More is better. It's attracting what hookworms like. So you want a steak now, and you go get a steak, and then it feeds the hookworm. Did you know that most people that have a hard time gaining weight is because they have a parasite eating up all of their food first? Or a person having a hard time losing weight may be infected with parasites too, because they're always telling them to eat what they want. So a detox cleanse for parasites is very crucial when we're at this point of the book, because we're talking about how metaphysically, you know, beyond our eyes, beyond what we can't see, these entities, these creatures, these parasites are coming through our bodies through pet tongues licking us, or the air, you know what I mean? You know, scratching ourselves under our nails, whatever, the meat, the eggs, the dairy, right? And it's getting in us, and they're actually ruling our lives. They're actually controlling us and our hunger and what we call our diets, okay? So the best thing we could do is, if you are preparing for a pregnancy, ladies and men, detox before the conception, okay? Detox before the conception. That way the baby can start off with as little risk of wanting to subconsciously attract more parasites into their body, okay? So I went back. Let's move forward, and we'll recap what was just said. Now that you guys see where it's coming from, we can understand and move forward.
Have to spend the first part of his life after death. Because of the gross matter which he has built into it, all sorts of undesirable entities will be drawn into association with him, and will make his vehicles their home, and find a ready response within him to their lower passions. It is not only that his animal passions are more easily stirred here on earth, but in addition to this, he will suffer acutely from the working out of these desires after death. Here again, looked at even from the selfish point of view, we see that occult considerations confirm the straightforward, common sense of the arguments on the physical plane. The higher sight, when brought to bear upon this problem, shows us still more vividly how undesirable is the devouring of flesh, since it intensifies within us that from which we need to be free, and therefore, from the point of view of progress, that habit is a thing to be cast out at once and forever.
Get rid of it. Get rid of it all. I'm going to run that back and highlight that.
Shows us still more vividly how undesirable is the devouring of flesh, since it intensifies within us that from which we need to be free.
It intensifies in us that from which we need to be free. We need to be free of the wanting. We need to be free of the ownership. You know, oh, I own this cow. It's, notice how you say, I can't live without my steak. Oh, I love my chicken. It's not your chicken. What are you talking about? But that mindset is transferred down from the farmer. Oh, this is my cow Bessie, and this is my piggy Sue, and my chicken's here, and I'm going to kill my chickens. And then they sell their chickens to you, to your grocery store, and then you buy your meat and you cook up your chicken, right? We got to get away from this ownership. We want to get away from the jealousy. We want to get away from the lust, from the agony, from the, you know, the cheating and the lying, right? Which all stems from that lower cesspool of lower vibrations, okay? We wish to be free from any fetters that hold us down from doing that which progresses us, not from doing what we want. Because I was going to say we have to be free from the fetters that keep us from doing what we want. But how do we know we want that, or the parasites want it? How do we know that we want it, or some sort of, you know, hookworm isn't making us think that we want that, right? That deep fried chicken sandwich. So if we want to grow into happy, loving people and raise our grandchildren with good morals and good values, then we want to be free of any kind of haunting of our own. We don't want to be hypocrites, right? We don't want to be saying, hey, you should eat healthy and you should only eat, you know, plants, and then go sneak in a steak and some oxtail and some goats, right? We got to live by example. So if we want to be free of all those things that keep us back from progressing forward, why would we continue to eat meat when the very buying of it, the very having it on your plate means that some ill shit went down, you know, something wrong happened. You're trying to make your life peaceful, and you're trying to have healthy and loving relationships in your own life while destroying families, you know, taking babies away from their cows, taking, you know, baby boy chickens and throwing them into the grinder, and the baby girl chickens and putting them into new, you know, battery cages. You know what I'm saying? So all of these types of vibrations, all of them, you can be free from and have actually no blood on your hands every single day, like myself and many other vegan living people. To wake up in the morning and to know that your dollar didn't circulate around and get into some slaughterer's hands. You know what I mean? You didn't pay for a cow to be walked to death in India, because in India they won't kill cows. They'll just walk them until they die. They won't feed them. They won't give them water. They just walk them until they drop dead. And then, so since they're dead, hey, now we can use them for leather for your Honda.
And therefore, from the point of view of progress, that habit is a thing to be cast out at once and forever. End of section 11. Recording by Andrea Fiore. Section 12 of Vegetarianism and Occultism. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Andrea Fiore. Vegetarianism and Occultism by C.W. Leadbeater. Section 12. Man's duty towards nature. Then there is the far more important unselfish side of the question, that of man's duty towards nature. Every religion has taught that man should put himself always on the side of the will of God in the world, on the side of good as against evil, of evolution as against retrogression. The man who ranges himself on the side of evolution realizes the wickedness of destroying life. He knows that, just as he is here in this physical body in order that he may learn the lessons of this plane, so is the animal occupying his body for the same reason, and that through it he may gain experience at his lower stage.
Whew. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's to say that the cow will not become the human? Who's to say that the goldfish will not one day become the dog and become the cow, to become the elk and become the orangutan? You know what I mean? If energy is a unit, is just a single unit from the source, you know, it's an individualized state of energy. You know, me, you, him, her, right? Then who's to say that in our soul's infinite spiraling journey of life, that at some point you and I weren't cattle, and some point you and I weren't goldfish or whales? You know what I'm saying? Maybe we do evolve, but maybe the classroom stays the same, the glove stays the same, right? The uniforms, they stay the same. But the people that go into the classroom, that try on the gloves and that wear the uniforms, they're all different. And you know what? The same person will go into grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and learn about this. Grade 4, they'll put on a play. Grade 5, they'll become student leader. Grade 6, they're student president. Grade 7, they're, a flunky. Grade 8, they're a pothead. Grade 9, they turn themselves around. They're, you know what I mean? What I'm saying is, if you think about the student as your soul, then, and the different classrooms as different bodies, then of course every graduating soul started off in kindergarten once, in a more primitive or less abled body. Maybe we all start off as jellyfish, you know what I'm saying? Or octopi, you know what I'm saying? And then we move up. I'm not saying that this is what I believe, but what I'm saying is, who's to say that that's not the case? Which means, who's to give us the right that, knowing that we have another side to us, that we are just temporarily inhabiting a physical suit to walk around on, who's to say that that cattle doesn't and that chicken doesn't? Because last time I checked, when you cut a chicken's head off, its legs are still running. You know what I'm saying? It's running away from the blade for a reason. So it must have some sort of innate will or desire to live. Okay?
He knows that the life essence of this plane, so is the animal occupying his body for the same reason, and that through it he may gain experience at his lower stage. He knows that the life behind the animal is the divine life, that all life in the world is divine, that animals therefore are truly our brothers.
Yeah, is there any life that isn't divine? Is a tree life not sacred? You know what I mean? We treat trees with respect. We cut them down, but at least here we have to replant that. If you're building a subdivision, you have to plant trees on the property. Okay, we walk through a forest. There's signs. Don't go off the path. Don't litter. Don't pick the grass. Don't break any branches. Don't strip the bark off the trees. You know what I mean? We're preserving nature. And, you know, you look at a tree hugger and you say, oh, they're a tree hugger. They're a hippie. But really, there's nothing really bad to say about a tree hugger. There's no negative things to say about a person that loves to hug trees or loves to save trees, right? So in the same token, we can't do that with our animal brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? Because those animals that we look side to side. We look one side, we see the bovine animals and the giraffes, right? The oxens and everything. And we look to the other side and we see the elephants and the dogs and the jackals. And we're in the middle of this very diverse grouping of entities that walk this plane, right? And fly around on this plane and swim around, right? We share that. The one thing that we all have in common is that we look towards the ground for sustenance. Clays, roots, barks, twigs, grass, flowers, algae. And the great thing is that once we eat it, and once the giraffe eats it and the elephant eats it, and we poo it out, it fertilizes the earth again. You know, and the seeds grow from it extra strong. You know what I'm saying? So there's a symbiotic relationship. If you just look around at the other animals that are constructed like us, that don't really have any claws to grab onto anything, no real big fang teeth or snout to really poke into anything. So we look around at the deer, at the chimpanzees, at things like us, and we see that they sustain themselves off of the ground, okay? So we, as well as our spirits, you know, inhabiting this body, look to the ground for sustenance, not to the other life forms that were created. You know what I always say to people, and I want you to use this. Everybody out there, GPX Sage, what's up? Newfie Kenny and Wiggleworks, what's going on? You know what I want you all to say out there? Eric Stanley, peace. I want you to say this. Eating meat, right? Eating flesh of an animal is the same thing as a bunch of animals going to a watering hole, okay? You got the big watering hole, and they're all drinking out of it. The lion, the giraffe, the rhinoceros, the leopard, and the monkeys, they're all at the same watering hole, okay? You wanting to eat flesh is the same as me, a monkey, right, at the watering hole, drinking my water, looking to a lion and saying, I want the water that's in that lion. So let me cut open the lion's stomach and drink water from the lion's stomach instead of drinking straight from the pond. You, instead of drinking from the pond, which is eating the grass, like all the other animals are eating from the grass, you want to go to another animal and eat what it ate from its body instead of just going to the grass. If you want iron, if you want protein, if you want magnesium, if you want cobalt, if you want copper, if you calcium, anything, any of the minerals, why would you go to the thing that eats those things? Why don't you just go straight to the source? You know what I mean? What would you prefer? Gold straight from the ground, or gold from somebody's shop who's melted it down and refined it and threw away a bunch and marked it up like times 10, and now you have $1,000 little gold ring? Why wouldn't you want that source gold? When you go to the kale, you're getting that source gold. The beets, they give you the source. So you're really filtering your nutrients when you go to another animal, thinking that you're going to get anything for your body from that animal. Like I said, would you ever take my old car's oil and fill up and do an oil change with your new car? No, it doesn't make sense.
Even though,
let's go back.
He knows that the life behind the animal is the divine life, that all life in the world is divine, that animals, therefore, are truly our brothers, even though they may be younger brothers, and we have no sort of right to take their lives for the gratification of our perverted tastes.
15 minutes of eating a steak dinner, 15 minutes of eating buffalo wings with your boys, is that worth the years and the years and the resources that went into that animal? The amount of days that it woke up, ate, went to bed, woke up, ate, reproduced, went to bed. What was that really worth your little 5, 10, 15 minutes of pleasure that you can't even remember the next day? You have a steak? Yeah, it was good. I had a good steak. Yeah. What it tastes like? I don't know, like, steaks. Really? Is that how amazing your meals are? They're so mundane that you can't even really remember your meals. Yet an animal that was being grown for 5, 10 years just lost its life for those 15 minutes of your perverted pleasure. You like the death, you like the blood. You know what I mean? It's like when you see those sick people that like pleasure pain, that like being like really whipped hard and bleeding and cut open, and they're like, oh yeah, and pierce them and hang them from their skin, and you know what I mean? It's pleasure, but it's perverted. It's a little perverted, right? And which soul did the Creator make that deserves to die? Which is more special than ours? Whose soul is more cool than ours? More special? You know what I mean? Because last time I checked, ants, they contribute more to this earth than humans do. We dump garbage. Ants build pyramids every single time they build up the ground. They're building little mounds and networks, and they never stray off their path. You look at an animal, and an animal is always doing what it should be doing unless it was perverted by us, right? But they're always flexible, always able to reach under their groins and reach back and lick themselves. They're flexible as heck. And we all know we like to be a little bit more flexible. They all wake up at the crack of dawn, go to bed when it's still light out. Very good discipline. And if we could live more like animals and stop just eating them all the time, then I think that we would waken to our true selves. And I don't mean that we're animals at heart, but what I mean is that there is a divine way of life. And that divine way of life, it doesn't involve eating other divine animals that eat the grass to live like we could, all right?
No right to cause them untold agony and suffering, merely to satisfy our degraded and detestable lusts. We have brought things to such a pass with our miscalled sport and our wholesale slaughterings that all wild creatures fly from the sight of us. Does that seem like the universal brotherhood of God's creatures? And detestable.
Let's hear that again.
Lusts. We have brought things to such a pass with our miscalled sport and our wholesale slaughterings.
We have gotten to such a point now that with our miscalled sports, shooting game, we call it game. Oh, we hunt for sport. Most sports I know, both teams know that there's a game going down. Okay, so
things to such a pass with our miscalled sport and our wholesale slaughterings that all wild creatures fly from the sight of us.
You can't pet a squirrel to save your life. You can't walk up to a duck and say what's going on, to save your life. You see a wild animal, it sees you and it flees because it knows what you want to do. And then you say, oh, but I would never hurt it. No, you do want to. Because, look, if you go on a forest on the nature walk and you say, oh my God, it looks like Bambi. Oh my gosh, look at that cute deer. It's so cute, honey. Take a picture. And then you say, oh, mountain hike we've ever had. We got all these pictures of deers. It was great. Oh my God, my honey almost cried. We saw this beaver. Hey, babe, remember that beaver, babe? Oh, it was the best. Oh man, I'm getting really hungry after that hike. Let's go get an elk burger. That was such a long hike. Let's go get some chicken wings now. That subconscious wanting is always on your mind because it's always on your stomach, because those guys, those tapeworms, hookworms, those pathogens, right? Those parasites want you to eat that. And they're never stopping. They're never sleeping. They're always wanting you to be consuming what they want, the blood, the pus. walk and you see a beautiful deer and you cry because it's a deer, and then you go and have your animal dinner, right? That blood, the pus, the scab, which you're eating, right? Because it's dried blood. You heated blood, and it turned into a scab, which your red steak turned brown. So you're eating a big, tender, juicy scab. When that's in you, remember, your body doesn't know how to eliminate it, so it's in you, okay? And it's sitting there for a long ass time, years and years and years, until you know how to get it out. When you walk up to an animal, it smells you. It smells you. The dog can smell when you're gonna have a heart attack. A heart attack. Okay? Animals can sense when you have other animals in your body. It's like if you're walking in a forest and you come to like a eerie graveyard where a lot of other dogs have died on this path. Your dog is gonna stop and be like before it gets there. It's gonna like, come on, boy, what's wrong, boy? It knows what's laying ahead, all of that death. It can smell it. The animals, the birds, the squirrels, chipmunks, they can all smell that on us decaying, rotting in our stomachs. So what makes you think that they want anything to do with you? They think that they're next. Okay? You think, oh my God, Bambi. They're thinking, oh fuck, they want to kill me. Get the fuck out of here. And that's sad. And what the book said was, do you think that that is, the creator's idea of the universal golden code? Is that really the best we can do? Is that really the best idea we have of sharing this earth?
Does that seem like the universal brotherhood of God's creatures?
Not to me.
Is that your idea of the golden age of the worldwide kindliness that is to come?
Nope.
A condition when every living thing flees from the face of man?
Yeah. Is that for everybody that eats meat out there, right? And that loves to hunt for sport. Is it really your definition of world peace? Of being the top, most advanced being on the plane. We're humans. We can do this and we can do that, but we can't get a coyote to look at us for 5 seconds. Is that your definition of a utopia? Mine would be letting my daughter go out and riding on Bambi. The deer comes up, picks her up, puts her on her back, and runs off into the forest, and they're, you know what I mean? That obviously that would never happen, not even in a Disney movie, but that would be like idealistic, right? It would be like, yo, these birds fly into my room and they make my bed like they do Cinderella's bed, right? That's like amazing, right? The Bible said, and the lion shall lay with the lamb. They should lay down together in the same pasture, the same field, and they should eat together. The lion and the lamb. But is it your idea of a golden age or of man's superiority to be feared? That's like a father at the head of their household being like, oh, I'm the best dad, and my kids, they say I'm the best dad ever, but they're saying it because they're too afraid to tell you what they really feel. You know what I mean? Do you rule your home out of fear? Are your kids listening to you because they're afraid of what you might say if they don't? Then that's not real leadership, and that's not real, ruling. That's not real self-love. That's just like that's like dictatorship, right? So we can't expect to really, truly live in peace, can we? Without the animals experiencing that as well, right? If we get rid of money and get rid of all emissions causing, things, and we're not getting cancer from the Wi-Fi anymore. Everything's electromagnetic, free energy. Everybody's doing great. We're wearing robes, no constricting underwear, no bras with underwire. Hey, we're naked and we're not even lusting. We're talking and we're naked. Is that the golden era? But then while we're doing all that, animals don't trust us or they're running away from us? No, I highly doubt that, and I can't see that. The only kind of peace that I know or pray for or hope for is 100% peace for everyone, for everything. right? The trees included, the animals included, and of course us.
Because of his murderous instincts, there is an influence flowing back upon us from all this, an effect which you can hardly realize unless you are able to see how it looks when regarded with the sight of the higher plane. Every one of these creatures, which you so ruthlessly murder in this way, has its own thoughts and feelings with regard to all this. It has horror, pain, and indignation, and an intense but unexpressed feeling of the hideous injustice of it all. The whole atmosphere about us is full of it. Twice lately, I have heard from psychic people that they felt the awful aura or surroundings of Chicago, even many miles away from it. Mrs. Besant herself told me the same thing years ago in England, that long before she came in sight of Chicago, she felt the horror of it.
Now, Chicago must have had a really huge factory farm or something, or a really big industrial farm. It must have been like the hub of, you know, America in those days, because they're referring to Chicago as this place with a very dreary, very heavy, dark cloud over it, caused by the amount of death. I guess there was a huge factory farm in there in the old days. Maybe you guys know about it. So there you
Miles
go.
away from it. Mrs. Besant herself told me the same thing years ago in England, that long before she came in sight of Chicago, she felt the horror of it and the deadly pall of depression descending upon her, and asked, "Where are we? And what is the reason that there should be this terrible feeling in the air?" To sense the effect as clearly as this is beyond the reach of the person who is not developed. But though all the inhabitants may not be directly conscious of it and recognize it, as Mrs. Besant did, they may be sure that they are suffering from it unconsciously.
Yep. There's blood cells found in the upper layers of our atmosphere. We know that through sound vibration alone, it can alter our thoughts, okay? That coupled and tripled with the fact that we're actually ingesting these things, and that we have actually family members working in these industries, okay? There's a zeitgeist of death. There's a feeling of disparity, of destruction, and it's in the air, and the blood is in the air, and you know what? It's leaking onto our produce now. How many times do your produce get recalled because there's some sort of listeria or E. coli on it from some animal farm, the slaughterhouse, that from like next door or like a couple miles away, getting into the bedwater of our plane? We're actually, it's like a triple-edged sword, because you eat the meat and you're paying to kill something, and then you eat that meat and you're killing yourself, you know, cancer, coronary heart disease, all that, and then you're killing the environment as well, okay? You're causing the blood to go down into the soil and screw up the plants, and now I gotta throw out lettuce because it's infected with the blood of the animal that people wanted to eat, that they didn't even need to eat to be healthy in the first place.
And that terrible vibration of horror and fear and injustice is acting upon every one of them, even though they do not know it. End of section 12. Recording by Andrea Fiore. Section 13 of Vegetarianism and Occultism. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Andrea Fiore. Vegetarianism and Occultism by C.W. Leadbeater. Section 13. Ghastly unseen results. The feelings of nervousness and profound depression, which are so common, are largely due to that awful influence which spreads over the city like a plague cloud. I do not know how many thousands of creatures are killed every day, but the number is very large.
For this next chapter, I'm going to be running something, okay? It's a little special type of video, and I'm going to be running it while they're reading this chapter specifically, okay? So let me rewind that for a second. This is going to be mind-blowing. You guys are literally not going to believe what I'm about to do. And then thank you guys for joining me. Willie Little John, thank you very much for that gracious donation. It's like donations like that like you know, make this make this really, you know, special, worthwhile. You guys are getting something, I'm getting something out of it. That's reciprocation, and I love you for it. Okay, so
are largely due to that awful influence which spreads over the city like a plague cloud.
okay, now get this queued up. Check this out, guys. I gotta share my screen with you guys. Okay, ready?
I do not know how many thousands of creatures are killed every day, but the number is very large. Remember that every one of these creatures is a definite entity, not a permanent, reincarnating individuality like yours or mine.
Now remember, she says that many thousands of creatures are killed every day, and she doesn't know how many. Well, let's try to put a number on it. Right here, I'm at the vegan calculator, and what it does is it takes the death toll of the animals last year, and it counts it out second by second. So let's listen to what she says. So I'm gonna refresh this page, reset the clock.
But the number is very large.
Here we go. Reset this.
Feelings of nervousness and profound depression, which are so common, are largely due to that awful influence which spreads over the city like a plague cloud. I do not know how many thousands of creatures are killed every day, but the number is very large. Remember that every one of these creatures is a definite entity, not a permanent, reincarnating individuality like yours or mine, but still an entity which has its life upon the astral plane and persists there for a considerable time. Remember that every one of these remains to pour out his feelings of indignation and horror at all the injustice and torment which has been afflicted upon him. Realize for yourself the terrible atmosphere which exists about those slaughterhouses. Remember that a clairvoyant can see the vast hosts of animal souls, that he knows how strong are their feelings of horror and resentment, and how these recoil at all points upon the human race. They react most of all upon those who are least able to resist them, upon the children, who are more delicate and sensitive than the hardened adult. That city is a terrible place in which to bring up children, a place where the whole atmosphere, both physical and psychic, is charged with fumes of blood and with all that that means. I read an article only the other day in which it was explained that the nauseating stench which rises from those Chicago slaughterhouses and settles like a fatal miasma over the city is by no means the most deadly influence that comes up from that Christian hell for animals, though it is the breath of certain death to many a mother's darling. The slaughterhouses make not only a pest hole for the bodies of children, but for their souls as well. Not only are the children employed in the most revolting and cruel work, but the whole trend of their thoughts is directed towards killing. Occasionally, one is found too sensitive to endure the sights and sounds of that ceaseless, awful battle between man's cruel lust and the inalienable right of every creature to its own life.
Oh. And I'm sharing with you guys right now, you know, it's been 2 minutes and 5 seconds, and over 4 million fish is being caught. You know, 250,000 chickens killed, fish in the hundreds of thousands, rabbits, pigs. I mean, this is a disgrace. You know what I mean? To call ourselves as great as we call ourselves, and yet to be doing this to the innocent animals that have absolutely nothing to do with us. And we want to say that they deserve it somehow, or they were made for us to kill or something. So I just want to say, you know, thanks for everybody that's going vegan right now, because you guys are actually bringing this number down. And so, yeah, that's just a little reality check on everybody about just how many animals are being killed, you know, every single second of every single day, holidays, vacation days, it doesn't matter. In fact, probably more than, because you want your big turkey and your big feast on those days, right? So, okay, time to keep going. Now, what she said there was pretty amazing. With about the children who are employed, you know, in these fields to do this. You got to think they're always thinking about death. How can I kill this animal faster? You know, how can I get off of my shift easier, kill this quicker? It's so much death, you know, so much focused on death. So
I read how one boy, for whom a minister had secured a place in the slaughterhouse, returned day after day, pale and sick and unable to eat or sleep, and finally came to that minister of the gospel of the compassionate Christ, and told him that he was willing to starve if necessary, but that he could not wait in blood another day. The horrors of the slaughter had so affected him that he could no longer sleep. Yet this is what many a boy is doing and seeing from day to day until he becomes hardened to the taking of life. And then some day, instead of cutting the throat of a lamb or a pig, he kills a man. And straightway we turn our lust for slaughter upon him in turn, and think that we have done justice.
So what she just said there is that really tripped me out when I first really caught that. Get this.
And then someday, instead of cutting the throat of a lamb or a pig, he kills a man.
He kills a man instead, because soon the pig is not enough, or soon the same things that used to agitate him, you know what I mean, are agitating even more, and now he's become an efficient killer, armed with a knife and knows how to use it. Turns it onto the man, and then we as a society do this.
And straightway we turn our lust for slaughter upon him in turn.
And then we turn our lust for slaughter upon the man who killed the man and say, kill him. We say, give him the death penalty. He deserves to die. More death. 2 people dead already. What's a third? Now, there's a father in Toronto that just happened over Valentine's Day, and it's quite sickening. I don't know if the story's reached you guys in America or in England or anywhere else like that, but here in Toronto, a man took his daughter out for Valentine's Day, and it was her birthday too. And the man killed his daughter to get back at the mom, okay? The mom and him, they were separated. They didn't talk, obviously, and it's daddy's turn to spend this birthday with her 11-year-old birthday, and he killed her with a friend. Him and his friend killed her and left her in his apartment on her 11th birthday on Valentine's Day. Now, the mom will never be able to sleep again. Whole lives are destroyed. And immediately you have people saying he should die. Oh, they should put a bullet in his brain. Now, I'm not one to be, I don't go against the death penalty or for it or whatever. I just kind of stay out of that. But, I don't like supporting these type of people with my tax dollars. I don't like to pay taxes. I don't like part of my taxes going to somebody that has to rot in prison for touching a girl. But for this sick F, for this guy, I would gladly pay for him to sit in that cell for the rest of his days, being raped and tortured and murdered and beat on, for the rest of his days, because the amount of pain he inflicted. Oh, and that same man, he tried to shoot himself in the head after he missed and got some injuries and went to the hospital, and now he's recovering and he's got to go to jail. So karma definitely works around. But the reason why I brought that up is because in this society so charged with death, I mean, this guy eats meat all the time. We all eat meat all the time, right? So what you are, what you eat. And if you're eating violent, you're going to act violent. And then you see that violent thing go down, and then the whole population goes, I want more violence. So it's a full circle, guys, that keeps on going. And you're going to notice that as you're doing your research, countries with higher vegetarian populations or towns with higher vegan populations are a lot more peaceful. You're going to go into vegan restaurants and you're going to see the children a lot more behaved. You're going to see a lot more obese people in your fast food restaurants and your steakhouses than when you go into a vegan restaurant. And you're going to see a lot of thin, in shape, happy people. All right?
And think that we have done justice. I read that a young lost from the throat of a lamb or a
I'll run it back.
pig. He kills a man. And straightway we turn our lust for slaughter upon him in turn, and think that we have done justice. I read that a young woman who does much philanthropic work in the neighborhood of these pest houses declares that what most impresses her about the children is that they seem to have no games except games of killing, that they have no conception of any relation to animals except the relation of the slaughterer to the victim. This is the education which so-called Christians are giving to the children of the slaughterhouse, a daily education in murder, and then they expressed surprise at the number and brutality of the murders in that district.
What? The murder rate's going up? But how? I just bought this new video game for him. Well, let's check out this video game. Oh, it's a first-person shooter game. What she said about the children making games and their relationship to the animal is of the butcher. You know, these little kids are making games, pretend games, where they're the butcher. You know what I mean? So the closer you live in proximity to that death, you know, if you're the butcher's son or, you know, the butcher's daughter, or you're dating a butcher's son, the more it's going to be on your mind, you know, and it's going to translate to, you know, when you go out and see things, you're just going to want to destroy it. You see these kids that just want to wreck everything. What do they eat? Are they eating something that's being wrecked? Pulled apart limb from limb? You know, you have your good plant-based eating child, and you're seeing a kid destroying things and not even caring how old they are or special they are. And I'm speaking firsthand because I see this all the time. We have huge families here, and whenever we get to big gatherings, you see the plant-based children that are typically, you know, eating less sugar, definitely less fats and stuff like that. They're leaner. They're just more quiet, more well-behaved. While the people with the meat and the dairy, the intemperate nerves, it's crazy. So maybe if you're struggling keeping your child calm at home, that's another tip, and another strong tip to get them off of the meat, because it's violence and it breeds violence. Violence breeds violence.
Yet your Christian public goes on serenely saying its prayers and singing its psalms and listening to its sermons, as if no such outrages were being perpetrated against God's children in that sinkhole of pestilence and crime. Surely the habit of eating dead flesh has produced a moral apathy among us. Are you doing well, do you think, in rearing your future citizens among surroundings of such utter brutality as this? Even on the physical plane, this is a terribly serious matter, and from the occult point of view, it is unfortunately far more serious still, for the occultist sees the psychic result of all this, sees how these forces are acting upon the people, and how they intensify brutality and unscrupulousness. He sees what a center of vice and of crime you have created, and how from it the infection is gradually spreading until it affects the whole country and even the whole world of what is called civilized humanity. The world is being affected by it in many ways, which most people do not in the least realize.
We're eating more meat today than we've ever eaten in our lives. The average family is eating more meat today. Now, thankfully, we're having the biggest amount of vegans, you know, switching over to veganism today. You know, thankfully, within the last 10 years, you know, England has jumped up 300 to 500% in veganism alone. Okay, now imagine if you had stock in some vegan companies, right? So I sit back and I look. You know, we look back into the past and we see great, beautiful structures. We look from continent to continent and everything was unified, the same types of deities and gods and the same types of art and architecture. And there was a fall, a pretty drastic fall. And we noticed that as the animal husbandry got more industrialized, so did war. You know what I mean? From the small farms with the 1 or 2 cattle and spears to industrial automatic milking farms with automatic rifles. You know what I mean? So we are progressing. We're unconsciously progressing forward, and we're not saying, hey, no, I don't want this and I do want this. We're just taking it all. And I don't like that. I don't respect it. You know, just like the electric car. Cars started off electric. I don't know what, you know, they started off as electric, point blank, period. And then it was switched over to gasoline. And then it had to take another inventor to bring it back over electric before that was killed. And then it stayed gasoline. And now Tesla and Mitsubishi and Ford is all going electric now. But it's like we are thinking, oh wow, look, it's a new way to be electric. It's new. No, that was the first way. Just like the veganism. Oh wow, everybody's going vegan now. No, everybody was vegan. Look at the pyramids. Look at the trade that we had. Look at the peace that we had. The art that was built. You know what I mean? That wasn't done at a time of wholesale slaughter with rivers of blood running. Literally rivers of blood. Oh, you guys don't believe me? Okay. I mean rivers of blood because of slaughterhouses. So, you want to see it? I mean, talk about some Moses type ish on some biblical tips. Okay, I'm talking about the meat that you eat that you say, and I'm not saying you know what I mean. I'm giving you a way to speak to people, right? You when you speak to people like this that are in your family, you know it's gonna wake them up and like, whoa, like I am contributing to that, because you say, well, if I stop eating meat, then you know it's not gonna make a big deal. Everybody eats meat. Well, it's like, but at least you can say that you didn't have any part in this. At least you can say that, you know, yeah, everybody around you did do it. You're absolutely right. But I personally didn't. And a lot of these things, guys, these pictures, guys, just let you know, they're actually like minerals, like bauxite, like minerals running into it. You know, it's the internet, right? But what I mean is, like, behind slaughterhouses, you'll see pools of blood coming from these animals. You know what I mean? I mean, these are big bovine animals, so they, of course, they have pints and pints and pints and pints of blood in them, right? And so it spills out into the ecosystem, and it sucks. Okay, pools of blood, pools of blood.
Constant feelings of causeless terror in the air. Many of your children are unnecessarily and inexplicably afraid. They feel terror of they know not what.
The dark. They can't go into their bed. You know, don't turn off the lights. You know, oh, don't go up too high. It's just there's the fear of life, fear of school, of going to school. There's no more. You know what I mean? Where's the confidence of the children? This is, you know what I mean? There's that subconscious fear that we all have, but we see it in children as well, even. And for you not to take your risks, or just to fear what people think about you, or to fear not having that meal again, or else, you know, your stomach's going to eat itself. The fear of fasting, fear of our own success. Okay, we're haunted by it.
Terror of the dark, or when they are alone for a few moments. Strong forces are playing about us for which you cannot account, and you do not realize that this all comes from the fact that the whole atmosphere is charged with the hostility of these murdered creatures. The stages of evolution are closely interrelated, and you cannot do wholesale murder in this way upon your younger brothers without feeling the effect terribly among your own innocent children. Surely a better time shall come when we shall be free from this horrible blot upon our civilization, this awful reproach upon our compassion and our sympathy. And when that comes, we shall find presently that there will be a vast improvement in these matters, and by degrees we shall all rise to a higher level and be freed from all these instinctive terrors and hatreds. End of section 13. Recording by Andrea Fiore. Section 14 of Vegetarianism and Occultism. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Andrea Fiore. Vegetarianism and Occultism by C.W. Leadbeater. Section 14. The better time to come. We might all be freed from it very soon, if men and women would only think, for the average man is not after all a brute, but means to be kind, if only he knew how. He does not think, he goes on from day to day, and does not realize that he is taking part all the time in an awful crime. But facts are facts, and there is no escape from them. Everyone who is partaking of this abomination is helping to make this appalling thing a possibility, and undoubtedly shares the responsibility for it. You know that it is so, and you can...
Yo, if you gave $5 to a homeless man, you would feel good. You feel good. Here's $5. Go get yourself something to eat. Go score again. Go get drunk. It doesn't matter. I'm not here to judge you, but you know what? I did my part. I'm giving you $5, my hard-earned money. It looks like you're hungry. You're sitting outside this coffee shop. Here's $5. I'm going to trust you that you're going to buy food with it. Okay? Have a good day, bud. Okay. Now, what if that homeless man uses your $5 to hop onto a bus to go rape a woman that he frequently stalks, and he knows her bus route 54A, and he just needs bus fare, a round trip ticket, because the transfer is going to expire, so he's got to get there, rape her, and come back. Suddenly, do you feel that good? Do you feel so good now that you know that your $5, your hard-earned money, gave a homeless man access to rape somebody? And did you know that because you gave them the $5, you're tied up in that? Maybe not legally. Maybe it might not go that far, but you're tied up in it because he wouldn't have been able to commit that act if you didn't give him that $5. Imagine you heard it on the news. Homeless man, after receiving some money from a gentleman, rapes a girl, and police are looking for him. And you're looking at it, oh my God, I saw him today. The homeless man said that the man that gave him the money was black and well-dressed. And you, oh shit. You start to feel horrible. Oh, that was my money. I gave him that $5. He wouldn't have been able to rape her if it wasn't for my $5. Now, that's a very abstract way to go about it, but it's the same fundamental principle. You gave, whether you know or not, I'm guessing that the people that you're talking to don't know how deep it goes, but you give them the $10, give me my burger, they get your burger, but that $10 goes to creating another burger, which means what? Taking more bull semen, opening up a cow, lifting up her tail, putting it in her, and releasing the semen outside in her, and kind of, flicking it off and scraping it on her vaginal walls to get it there, and getting it off of your glove, and then pulling your hand out of her vagina. The cow feels, oh shit, I'm pregnant now. Something's knocking around in there. 10, 11 months later, it's giving birth to a beautiful baby calf, but you take it away because your dollar, it needs more veal or it needs more steak. So now it's taken away. The mom's crying, bellowing out for weeks for her little baby. The baby's veal, or worse, another dairy cow. And your money's allowing this cycle to go on and on and on. So I get it if you didn't think about it like that. But now that you know that your $5 to that homeless man goes to raping a woman every single time you buy a piece of cow or whatever, how does that make you feel? You must stop. You must end it.
You can see what a terrible thing it is, but you will say, what can we do to improve matters? We who are only tiny units in this mighty seething mass of humanity. It is only by units rising above the rest and becoming more civilized that we shall finally arrive at a higher civilization of the race.
Right. Because it's not like, let's say for slavery in America, right? The story that we're given, white people on top, black people on the bottom. Few white people, lots of black people. Obviously, the few at the top experiencing the privileges aren't going to relinquish that privilege. It takes the many, it takes the individual, but that individual talks to individuals and they create the many to overturn the few. If you're talking to an older person, hey grandma, I think you should give up meat. Oh, what if it's just me, it's still going to happen. Do you vote, grandma? Yes, I vote. This is my country. We marched to vote. We marched to get the rights to vote. Or for women, when I was a woman, we couldn't vote. So you're damn right I vote. But why? You're just one person. You're just one person, grandma. Why are you voting? Oh, well, don't you know? It takes, every vote counts is what they say. Every vote counts. So if you're talking to an old person that still believes in the voting system, or that tells you, to try when you're at work, because every one person's effort, you know what I mean? Say that to them. Say that if you really do believe that one person can make a difference, then why don't you just stop the, you know, the torture, the pain, the kidnapping, the slaughter? Why don't you stop it for yourself? You know what I mean? So that's just, it's just another way to go about it, because I'm telling you, as a plant-based person, I've heard it all. And the more you open up your mouth about it, the more you're going to hear. And what I'm doing now is I'm giving you that arsenal, that firepower, or that love plant power, you know, that fertilizer power, baby, to go and answer back, you know, and fertilize those minds of these people that really are trying to ask genuine questions. Where do you get your protein? Where do you get this and your energy? You know, they're trying to be genuine, but they just haven't heard a sound answer yet that has made them switch. And that's where you show them this, right? All right.
As a whole, there is a golden age to come, not only for man, but for the lower kingdoms, a time when humanity will realize its duty to its younger brothers, not to destroy them, but to help them and train them, so that we may receive from them, not terror and hatred, but love and devotion and friendship and reasonable cooperation. A time will come when all the forces of nature shall be intelligently working together towards the final end, not with constant suspicion and hostility, but with universal recognition of that brotherhood, which is ours, because we are all children of the same Almighty Father. Let us at least make the experiment. Let us free ourselves from complicity in these awful crimes. Let us set ourselves to try, each in our own small circle, to bring nearer that time of peace and love, which is the dream and the earnest desire of every true-hearted and thinking man. At least we ought surely to be willing to do a small thing as this, to help the world onward towards that glorious future. We ought to make ourselves pure, our thoughts and our actions as well as our food, so that by example, as well as by precept, we may be doing all that in us lies to spread the gospel of love and of compassion, to put an end to the reign of brutality and terror, and to bring nearer the dawn of the great kingdom of righteousness and love, when the will of our Father shall be done upon earth as it is in heaven. End of section 14. Recording by Andrea Fiore. End of Vegetarianism and Occultism by C.W. Leadbeater.
That was the end of the book, guys. And that last little part, that really stuck with me when I first read this book. You know, why is it that, you know, we treat these lesser forms the way we do when everywhere else we treat them better? If a person breaks their foot, we open the door for them and we help them hobble along. If a person loses a leg, we try not to stare. We try to smile and be like, hey, it's normal. Everything's normal. I'm not even noticing you don't have a leg. You're normal just like you know, just like me. You can do everything else that we two-legged people can, and there's no difference. Can I do anything for you? Can I hold the door open? An old lady, you're old, you're walking slow and you're shaking. Oh, man, can I help you across the street? Can I open the door for you? You know what I mean? We speak slower for them. We show them around the grocery stores. Little kids, they can't reach the counter. We get it for them. They don't understand the science, so we break it down for them slow. But when it comes to an animal, screw them. Just kill them and put them on my plate and put some extra gravy on it. So there is going to be a time, I believe in my heart of hearts, that there will be a time where we look at animals and we don't want anything. You know what I mean? Like you look at a deer and you want it to stay around and you want it to look at you and you want to see what the deer does and you want to see it jump over the fence. You know what I mean? You see a beaver and you're like, oh, stop, 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 stop. And you look at the beaver and you want to watch it do something and it doesn't do anything for you. So you move, stupid beaver, and you keep walking. You know, we have to, I believe that we're going to get past that stage of like wanting from animals. You know what I mean? Like selfishly, we want animals, we want pets, we want to see them, we want to go on the savannah, we want to go to the zoo. But there's going to be a time where we're just like, you know what, yeah, that's a lion, I see it over there. There's a deer, I see it over there. I'm going to keep on eating my kale. You know, look around. Oh, a giraffe. Okay, cool. Not like, oh, a giraffe. Let's shoot it and ride it and then make a jacket out of it and then make a chair out of it and then, you know, put the head on my wall and stuff it. And like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, I'm sorry. right? And I apologize. You know what I mean? But I'm not apologizing for how I feel. I'm apologizing for my miscommunication and my over exuberance right now. But I cannot understand hanging an animal head on your wall. I don't understand. Like, does it make your penis feel larger, men? You know what I mean? Does it make you feel like you're dominant? And I never got it. You know what I mean? And I never will get it. And even as a kid, I never understood it. I don't want it. I never did. I just want us to leave animals alone. And if they're in trouble, then we help them out. That's it. You know, oh, the bird's wing is broken. Let's help it out. You know what I mean? Let's not cage it and then clip its wings so it can't fly and then give it to little Billy who doesn't even really care about it. You know what I mean? And then it sits in the cage. Billy's off at college. The bird dies. Billy's at college. Oh, okay. We're going to have a few. Just put him in the backyard. You know, this is a life that, like, took a lot to make. Like, I don't know, like, a lot of, like, cosmic happenstance to, like, come together. And the serendipity and the fate and the destiny and all those, the will, all those ingredients coming in together to grow that life. Like, really and truly, there's nothing more special about a human's conception and an animal's. The penis goes in, the sperm comes out, the sperm covers the egg, one gets in, egg comes out as the thing. Take a chicken, you take a bull, you take a fox, you take a dog. The same thing is happening, but we're special. We're the special ones because when our cells divide, we come out looking like this. But when, you know, a dog's cells divide, it looks like this. You know what I'm saying? And we don't have the same noses, but there's still, you know, the same amount of number of cells in there. Different types of nose. Kill them. Doesn't matter. Screw him. He doesn't look like us. Kill him. Isn't that the same thing isn't that the same way of thought that happened to the Slavs, to the Irish, to the Portuguese, to the Africans, to the Chinese, to the Japanese, the Indians? Isn't that the same type of mentality? They don't look like us, so screw them. They can't do what we do. Screw them. They don't smell how we smell. Screw them. They can't pronounce words or talk how we talk. Screw them. Isn't that exactly how we do it? Oh, ladies are stupid. They can't vote. They can't be trusted to drive. All they can do is raise children and clean. They don't look like men. Screw them. And then you have women eating meat, which is like crazier because the mom is now eating a mom. And you'd think that the mom first in the family would be like, oh, I can't do that because that had a son and a daughter. Or this is a son and a daughter of someone else's mom. And if, you know, I wouldn't like my daughter to go on a trip and then find out that she was cooked up at somebody else's dinner. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, y'all. So peace and blessings. Greetings. Hello. Welcome. Thanks for joining me for this part 2 of the special green stream. Let me get to the chat. Now is the time to ask any questions or to just holler at me. You know what I'm saying? Once again, Willie Little John, thank you so much for that donation. It means a lot, my brother. GPX Sage is in the house. Love Kung Fu Shaolin. Much love. Thanks for joining us. Jermaine Harkness. I hope this was interesting for all of you guys. Jermaine says, throw out that honey too. Mucus production on a massive scale. And Jermaine is 100% on point. The honey's got to go. You look at the honey, it says, do not feed to children under the age of 1. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's a warning on it. You know what I'm saying? Just give them the maple syrup. Comes straight from a tree. You don't got to worry about getting stung. You don't got to worry about, you know, the bee vomiting it up into a little honeycomb with a larvae. Yo, real talk. There's nothing that creeps me out, like gives me the heebie-jeebies, more than a larvae. More than like a body that's moving around in a sack, you know, like a white sack. And it's like, it's got like a little like black sucker and like a little breathing hole at the back. And it's like squiggling around and like, it's like like this, like the little maggots, yo, like, oh, so gross, yo. Like when you lift up your garbage on a hot summer day and like you see all the maggots in there. Oh, it's so gross. That is gross to me, right? Whew. Now, I respect them. I respect all life. But that is like the ugliest form of infantry I've ever seen. But nonetheless, you get the bees. They're taking up the pollen and they're swallowing the pollen and they store it here and it's breaking down into a simple sugar and then they vomit it up. That's why it smells like saliva, right? Lick your hand, right? Lick your finger right now. Everybody lick your finger. Now put your licked finger all up in your nose like that. Just go like that. Wait. Just wait. Let it dry off. Now smell. Smell that. Smell that saliva. That is what honey smells like. Go get your honey and smell the top of your lip after you lick it. It's friggin' saliva. It's spit. It's bee spit. And it's disgusting. Now, that bee spit was made to those little things that don't have any like pincers or tongues or straws. They suck up the honey. It's a basic sugar, so it's got all the energy for them to move around. So those little squiggly maggot, like I know that's not a maggot because it's not a fly, but still it's like a friggin' like an entity in a sack. And then they scrape out that honey. I'm moving on. Cheese stays in the intestines and all gooey. Ugh. Yo. Gross, yo. If you think old chicken is some old spoiled cheese or whatever, if you think that's gross there, what about like inside of you after like 4 months, years? GPS pleasure. Misal, only the wise. Thanks for joining us. Please catch the replay. Robert Biggs, your favorite teacher. Who is that? Me? No, can't be. Maybe you're talking about someone else. What is the best source of protein other than meat? Okay, well, let me correct you right there, Robert Biggs. Thank you for that question, because maybe you already knew this and you planted that question in because you just know. You just know, right? There is no protein in meat. Okay, everybody out there, there's no protein in meat. Watch part 1 of this. Is there any liquid gasoline of the exhaust of a car? You turn your car on, it's running. You see the exhaust, how it's smoking and how the fumes are getting out? Could you catch those fumes in a bag, right? Catch the fume and then gas tank? No, because it's used. It's used already. It's broken down already. Could you take the oil from an old Honda, right? The oil, the used oil, and then put it in your new car and expect from your engine? No, it's used. The oil's used. It's used. It's been turned. As soon as the animal takes in the plant, which is where all protein is from, it breaks it down into nitrogen, and then it uses the protein that it broke into nitrogen. So don't ever think that you can, oh, am I bugging out? Am I stopping? Am I freezing? Which is where all, no, I'm good. So all proteins come from the plant lives, okay? That's where it all comes from. Anything that's living and breathing with the blood flow, with mucus, with antibodies, histamines, enzymes living in it, venous networks, you know what I mean? Skeletal structures, nervous system, stuff like that. Things that are consciously living like you and me, making directions, getting out of the wind, getting out of the rain, getting out from the sun when it's too hot. Not like plants. They're stuck in it. If it's too hot, they burn up. They're done. Okay? Anything like us, an animal, right? We break the minerals down and distribute it in our body. And then we poop it out. And then the ground puts it back together again. The plants put it back together again. Your kale structures the proteins, right? So when you say, where do we get protein other than meat? I want to say, first of all, you don't get protein from meat. You don't. You can only get protein from the plant kingdom. And where is the best place to do that? Well, obviously your nuts and seeds, because they're storing together all these amino acids, right, to grow, right? So to nurture that growth, like a yolk, it comes in there, all those fatty oils, all those essential fatty oils. And where there's fat, there's usually protein. Where there's protein, there's usually fat. And another good place to get them is from the stalk of any green. So Swiss chard, you see the nice green, that's great. It's got the iron in there and the magnesium and the calcium and the chlorophyll. But that stem, that stalk is loaded with fibers and protein. And that's why you see these big bulls just vegan. They're just chewing on those stalks, just grinding those stalks down, okay? Unlocking the protein and the amino acids so that it can repair your body. And the cow does the same thing for its body. The buffalo and the chicken does the same thing for its body. They're all breaking down the protein to use it. So if you eat me, you're not going to get any protein. I've already used it from the kale that I ate, okay? Nuts, seeds are great, you know, chia seeds, flax seeds, any kind of nuts, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Thank you guys. Yeah, throw the honey out, throw the honey away. Yeah, you guys are smelling it too. I can't smell it anymore without thinking that a girl just kissed my face and bounced. You know what I mean? Just like, oh, saliva, like drool on a pillow. Yeah, definitely, Robert Biggs. No problem, brother. Thanks for telling me that I'm not freezing. Let's see. Can I smell honey without buying it? So I could smell. Yeah, you can smell it. That's exactly how it smells. Rice and beans for me. Rice and beans is like a complete meal. Like rice, you know, the racism is a tool, not only to keep us divided, but to keep us insecure with our own traditions. They say black people eat watermelons, and you know, black people don't like to eat watermelons in public now, especially at white functions, because of the days when they were, you know, painted and they had the watermelons, and you know what I mean? They had those watermelon eating contests and all that for black people, all that, right? But you can live off the watermelon. You get the black and the white seeds, you chew those up. That's got amino acids and proteins. You can sprout them and you're getting even more unlocked nutrients. And you can eat the rind of it. You can juice the rind. You can shred up the rind in your salad. You know what I'm saying? You can obviously eat the red flesh that's inside. So you can live off of the watermelon, but they make you feel bad for it. So now we don't buy it and we're not living. Same thing with rice and beans for Mexicans, right? They say, oh, you damn Mexicans eating rice and beans. Well, yo, the beans have like so many amino acids and proteins and other nutrients and fats that you need to carry the nutrients. You know, if you're on a fat-free diet, how are you carrying your nutrients around your body? And then the rice, which is, you know, obviously a black rice or like a wild rice or a brown rice, it's got the riboflavins and the irons and the coppers and the just so many minerals to keep your body charged, you know, liquid minerals that, you know, you never want to stop eating rice and beans. I just made rice and beans today. Kidney beans with brown rice. Add a little bit of coconut cream, you know, from the brick, not from the can, that brick, hardened, you know, dried coconut cream, some thyme, some pimento, some salt, and some green onion. Woo! That's rice and beans. And it is so filling and so nutritious that you could literally just eat that and be good. Okay? So don't let them, don't let them think that your simple rice and beans or your quinoa with raisins or quinoa with, prunes in it or something like that is bad, because literally you're getting more nutrition than these guys. Sour cherries and coconut milk. Ooh, that sounds good. Lentil burgers. Little Willie, Little John makes lentil burgers. Wow. Yeah, I love making me some lentil burgers. Getting some mushrooms in there, dicing them up, and just sautéing them just a little bit with some seasoning. The mushroom is great for holding on and sucking up flavor, but also it adds that rubbery, bouncy fat like when you get that meat. So when you bite into that meat and you get those like cartilagey, fatty, like, those bites, that's what the mushroom kind of does. It mimics that bounce back that the lentil just doesn't have. The lentil is a smush, right? So you get those lentils, you get those mushrooms, and you mix that up. You spice it nice, patty that together. You toss that up in some chickpea flour, right? So that it so that it can crisp up. I like to put like a little bit of baking powder in with my chickpea flour. That way the edges kind of have like a nice crisp, you know what I mean? And then then you got yourself, and it's some smoked pepper, some smoked paprika. Get that smokiness. Boom. What about Brazil nuts? You can't find Brazil nuts. Well, you can always order online, okay? You can always order any food you want online. But Brazil nuts are hard to find. I don't know if you guys have Bulk Barn in America, but if you want to find like a big bulk place, like a Costco or something like that, something that sells big, bulk nuts, like tree nuts, that'll be good. Brazil nuts are great. They got a lot of fats in it, a lot of protein. Mwah, really great. And really great for babies too, right? I mean, like, if you soak your nuts, if you sit your tree nuts in water overnight or whatever, a couple hours, right? And then you pour off the murky water and wash them off, you can blend that up and, give it to your baby, add it into, or give it on their own. And that fat and protein, you're going to see your baby's thickness just improve within weeks, literally weeks. That's what I love about putting these types of teachings to the children, because the children, you get such a quick feedback. You give them the lentils, boom, instant like mucus and clogged up. You give them the quinoa, gone. You know what I mean? You give them the banana, boom, they're clogged up because bananas constipate. You give them the papaya, boom, they're flush it out. They're so pure that you really see what foods are doing what. You know what I mean? And you're like, okay, that clogs her up, I'm gonna stay off of that. Oh, that constipated her, I'm gonna stay off of that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, wow, 89 days of eating beans in a boot camp. You must have been healthy, boy. Holy. Hopefully you had some sort of plant matter to move that through you. No, Rebel Allah. No. What's going on, my brother? Peace. I'm going to add you. I don't mean baking soda. That's all I have to say about that. I don't mean baking soda. I meant baking powder. Yeah, the multicolored Swiss chard, man. Damn, what's a good water to drink? But hey, Rebel Allah, you can use baking soda, and if you use it and it turns out good and it gets that crisp, hey, by all means, man. Make sure it's aluminum free and gluten free. You're good. What's a good water to drink? Distilled water is a great water to drink, but an amazing water to drink is an ionized water. Something where it's an acid free alkaline water. Type that in. Acid-free alkaline water. Okay? And that means that you can take water, you can take your tap water. Now, does everybody know what makes water acid or alkaline? Does anybody out here know what makes water acid or alkaline? What up, knowledge seeker? I see you. Deuce Muse, peace. Well, what makes the water different between acid and alkaline is the minerals in it. Now, this is demineralized, it's distilled water, right? So this is slightly acidic. It's like a 6.8, slightly acidic. Now, Malcolm Xavier is right. Now, pH stands for potential hydrogen. 7 is neutral, correct. Lemon is 7. This distilled water is like a 6.8, 6.9. It's not alkaline, okay? Because there's nothing in it. But now let's say if we add some calcium to it, okay? Now that's going to be alkaline. But say we added some phosphorus to it or something, you know, or some sort of aluminum. That's going to be acid. So it's the minerals in the water which make it acid or alkaline, meaning you can go get your tap water and put some, you know, your tap water comes out of the tap just slightly alkaline, like it's like 7.1, 7.2 or whatever, just for like safety reasons. But again, it's not acid-free alkaline water. There's additives in that water that make it read and register alkaline. So for example, you have tap water, dirty, filled with pills and all these heavy metals, lead and arsenic and stuff, right? Then you can dump a big bunch of baking soda in it and make it alkaline water. Does that mean that it's the healthiest water to drink because it's alkaline? No, because there's still acid forming and acidic properties in the water. So what you want to do is you want to get acid-free alkaline water, which can only be done through ionization. So you want an ionizer, water ionizer, or go to a business that has it. And you want to make sure that they can split it. Yeah, you want to make sure that they can split the water. The acid comes out one tap, the alkaline comes out the other tap. Okay? Perfect. I buzz up oats in a coffee mill for flour. Nice. There you go. Oat flour. That's pretty good. Yep. Gluten-free oats. Damn, corn products are birth control. Yeah. Okay, guys. I guess that is all we have for today. You know what I mean? Tomorrow it looks like the weather's gonna be pretty bad, everybody. But sometime in the next 3 or 4 days, I want to do the Green Stream Part 8, right? So what I want to do it on is baby nutrition, baby dieting, baby food, baby lifestyles, right? What to give your baby. What are we going to put in our babies after they, you know, get off of the breast or the bottle? Because not everybody's breastfeeding, not everybody's bottle feeding, whatever, right? What should we do? Yeah, water. No to water. Yes to watermelons. No berries. What can we give them? Avocados right off the bat? You know, right out of the womb, right off the breast, an avocado. Is it too thick? Is there too much fats? Too much proteins? Well, we're gonna find out about that. Okay. So I really sincerely hope that you all enjoyed today's stream, the part 2 of vegetarianism and occultism. Please look up that book. Please send that book and even this review of that book far and wide to everybody that needs it. If anybody needs my help, you can always refer my email to them, which is masterpiece9@gmail.com. It's in the description below. Please like, sub, and share. Share this far and wide so that we can free up some of our medical bills and we can see our loved ones longer. You know what I mean? We can live with them longer. Also, I would like to leave you guys with a little bit of affirmations. And this was brought to a brother of mine. We were emailing each other back and forth that we should start doing affirmations. Yes, the baby food, the baby food is going to be very, very good, because what's so special about the baby food and baby nutrition is because whatever works for them is going to work for you. Okay. So with that being said, let's come together. Let's breathe out some negative energy, guys. Work, suck, doesn't matter, breathe it out. Relationship issues, doesn't matter, breathe it out. Breathe out the negativity. Define it as negativity. Breathe it out. It doesn't serve you, so you don't need it. Let's breathe in compassion. Deep down into the belly. Let's let all the cells of our body feel the compassion that we're breathing in. Breathe out the negativity. Breathe in the love. Hold it in there. And breathe out all the fear. You don't need that. Blow out that fear. Get out. Breathe in the positivity. Real deep down into the belly. Let all your little guys feel that positivity. And breathe out that negativity. Get out of there. Only positivity. I want you all to not ask for the things you want, but to have a better relationship with the isness, the stuff that all things emanate from. And if you rewind that and play that again, you will feel as big as I feel right now. I feel bigger than a mountain right now. I feel like the chair that I'm sitting on is a little thimble. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am happy. I am balanced. I am. And that's all you need to say. Wow. I thought that you guys were down here because I felt so big in my mind, in my consciousness. I felt I took up so much of my space that when I opened my eyes, I was looking down to see the computer. I literally thought it was down here. It's a small screen. And hello, I'm just a small little guy. So thanks a lot for joining me into that affirmation session. And peace and love. I'll leave you guys with some music to kind of vibe out to while I just kind of say peace to you guys in the chat. And once again, y'all, thanks so much for joining me, man. I mean, it was real special today. Eat to live. Don't live to eat. Peace, power, and protection. Thank you very much, Mind's Eye. I really appreciate that donation. Lets me do what I do here. Ma'aders. Peace. KT420. I love that name, man. I love that name. I don't know why. I think about it in my daily. KT420. I don't know. It sounds cool. Manny Pinocchio. Willie Little John. GPX Sage. Peace. Hope we all see the new age. Newfie Kenny. Much love. Mind's Eye. Shout out to you. Newfie Kenny, what about calcium carbonate? I mean, if you want to stimulate a reaction and then get off of that, yeah, by all means, calcium carbonate. Put it in your water, drink that down, empty stomach if you need. Do whatever regimen you want to do. Just as long as you realize that that's just it's only a temporary thing. And once your calcium is being created properly, you won't need that anymore. Jermaine Harkness, peace. Contact me, Rebel Allah, peace. Malcolm Xavier, much love, brother. Contact me, Awuzi Rekit, peace. Blessings, Melvin G. Everybody out there that's watching this off of the live stream, peace. Julia H, peace. Knowledge Seeker, thanks for joining us. Elizette Bowers, much love to you. Thank you for joining. Isette Bowers, if you want to transfer over to the light, to the vegan, without feeling like you're missing something, then you got to grow a compassion for the animals. You got to watch You gotta watch Earthlings. You gotta watch things like that. You gotta see how these animals are dying to know that what you're missing, you're not missing. You're not going without it. That you're actually a better person for it. That you're shining brighter. Your light is actually brighter than it's ever been without the meat. But if you need that replacement, then you can go to like tofu and seitan and other things as well. Who cares? Peace. Jordan, shit. Much love. You're always here, right? Robert Biggs, once again. Peace, y'all. Plain Permaculture says, check out permaculture, and I really agree with that. So thank you, Plain Permaculture, for that. It's much needed. Tchaikovsky May, Wiggle Works. Also, soon, we're going to be having a live, oh, Jermaine Harkness, thanks a lot, brother, for that $2 donation. You needed that quick meditation. Hey, brother, you do that meditation daily. Hey, man, your life is going to brighten up so quick, as have mine. I really felt like I cracked the code on manifesting, and I get things, man. Like, I get, like, you know what I mean? It's weird. I'm not to get, but you know what I'm saying? I get my prayers answered. You know what I'm saying? My affirmations. Flat plane Meister P. Peace. We just riding out right now, winding down. Want to say something. Oh yeah, next week, y'all. Next week, it's gonna be special. At some point, I'm gonna be doing a live stream, a special live stream, and it's about art. You know, I'm an artist. It's gonna be about making music, painting a flat Earth. I want to paint the flat Earth, the vortex. I want you guys to be there for your input. It's gonna be lit. Peace, guys.